Alright, so today I'm going to talk about adjusting the pole pieces on your guitar pickups. And you can easily do this if you have pickups in your guitar which has adjustable flat-headed screwdriver, kind of screws in them. And this particular guitar right here has that, so we will be able to adjust these pole pieces here to basically match the radius of our fretboard. And given that our strings also have the curve of the fretboard, we will basically have everything matching up. And this is quite easy to do, and you don't need a lot of tools, and we'll get to that in a little moment here. But before you go out and ditch your pickups on your guitar, whether it's a new guitar or just an old one you have laying around a couple of years and don't really play it much because you don't like the sound of the pickups, well, most times I found that if I have a guitar, if I either bought a new guitar or a used guitar and I don't really like the pickups, I tended to just trade them for something else or swap out the pickups. But it's really not needed to do that, at least not in the first place, because if you have adjustable pole pieces on your guitar, you're able to match the pole pieces to the radius of your fingerboard. Basically, given that your pickups are adjusted so they sit at the right height, giving you the right amount of output that you want, and having the pole pieces adjusted to the radius is going to allow the pickups to produce their best possible output and sound. Because right now on this guitar the pole pieces are actually they're quite low, and they haven't been adjusted. So if we just go in right here, we can basically see that these pole pieces are sitting quite a little way within the pickup here, within the ring of the pickup. And when we talk about the tools in a moment, you'll see that it becomes more clear that these haven't been adjusted, at least not to the radius of the fretboard. But by doing so, we're basically able to allow the pickups to have their best possible output, also given that we have adjusted the height of the pickup. So before we go in depth here and go and adjust these, we want to talk about the tools, because there are quite a few tools that we need to use, but nothing major, and basically things that you can find at your local luthier supply store. So let's talk about the tool, guys, and I will just be right back. The tools that we're going to need to adjust the pole pieces on our pickups is going to be, in this case, is going to be a flat-headed screwdriver with just a regular flat head right here, and find a screwdriver that matches the the thread or the length of the thread on the screw, because it's just going to give you a more steady adjustment, because you won't have the screwdriver slipping. The second thing that we're going to need is this radius gauge here, and you can use something like this, which is basically an understring radius gauge, but you can use a regular one as well, like the one I have over here. Something like this one, you can use that as well. But given that I still have the strings on the guitar, I won't be able to fit this to get the reed that I want. So that's the reason for having the understring radius gauges, because I can slide this right in under the strings, and I can basically put it on the pole pieces and adjust it from there, so I don't have to take off the strings, and that's just handy. So these are the tools, guys, and it's not a lot that we need here, but at least this radius gauge here are quite essential to getting the proper radius on the pole pieces. So let's get to the actual business, shall we? Alright, so what we'll start by doing is that we're going to take the radius gauge I'm going to insert it between the D and the G string. I'm going to slide it in and basically get it set up right on top of the pole piece. And we can basically do that right here by holding it all up here. And we're going up here and we're going to sight down at the pickup in order to see which pole piece that we have to adjust. And right now I can see that basically the two outer E pole pieces are fine. I need to adjust the remaining 4 pole pieces here. So let me see if I can move you guys over here and we can have a better look at it. So if I go over here and I'll take you guys up a little bit and we zoom in, you guys should be able to see what I'm talking about. So we have the radius gauge, I pull it up and I have it in the middle of the strings. You guys should be able to see that we have some clearance within the 4 remaining strings. So should be able to see it right there. So I have to raise up the pole pieces a little bit in order to get them to match the radius. So I will do that by taking the flat-headed screwdriver here and I'm going to adjust the pickups, the pole pieces up a little bit. And just going to go in here, just going to give them, maybe half of a turn or maybe a little more than that, but somewhere in between that. And we'll have some, some wax coming out because these pickups have been waxed and things are just going to squeeze out when we adjust the knobs here. Alright, we can go in, sorry about that guys, we can go in and put the gauge up on there again. And let me zoom in so you can see it again here. So I basically have the gauge sitting on top now. And you should be able to see that we basically still have a little bit of adjustment to do. If I can get this to work the way I want it. You can see that we still have to get at least the 2 middle screws up a little bit. So I can go in and do that. Giving it maybe a half a turn. And just basically seeing what it's going to leave us. Okay. Let me just try and take you guys down here at the other end. And hopefully you should be able to see that we have adjusted the pickups a little bit. Or the pole pieces of the pickups, of course. Right, so if you take a look at it right here, I can take the string gauge onto string radius gauge and basically take it down here and hold it on top, just like so. You guys should be able to see that this should match at least to some degree, and it looks kind of fine. Perhaps the pole piece here could come up just a little bit, just like that, and we can check it again. And it's actually starting to look good. You can maybe get fourth one up just a little bit. We can check it again to see if we're good. And it basically looks like we are. Perhaps this one could come up a little bit, tiny bit in this one, just a tiny bit there, and we should be able to see it, that things are starting to match up as they should. So that right there is basically looking good, and as you can see right here, basically have things adjusted quite nice. So we basically, we will now go in and do the same thing for the neck pickup over here, and get everything in again and just do the same thing, making sure that we have the pole pieces matching the radius. So I can take it up here and set it on pole pieces and have a look, and we have to adjust the remaining 4 again. So we will go in up here and adjust it up just a little bit. We can take another look. We can see that the G-string would need to come up, the G-string a little bit, and right there, we're basically good. You can see that it matches. Things are looking just fine. Alright, so that gives us perfectly adjusted pole pieces, and the thing that really remains now is for us to adjust the pickups. And this is basically something that I will do when I have a guitar in. I will take a look at the pickups and adjust them to, a proper height. And let me just get you guys in here. I like to adjust pickups, especially when I'm working with humbuckers. I like to adjust them by, pressing down at the last fret on the low E, doing the same thing on the high E when I measure the treble side, pressing down here when measuring the bass side, press down the last fret. I like to use a set of feeler gauges, and I would like to measure 1.6 millimeters from the pole piece top to the bottom of the string. And I would do that on both the bass side here and on the treble side. So I would have 1.6 millimeters as an even measurement on both pickups. I've basically just found that it gives a nice output for guitars with humbuckers, and from there you can always adjust it to taste, but this right here are what we're going to use: a feeler gauge of 1 millimeter and a feeler gauge of 0.60 millimeters. So when I stack those together, we are basically able to make the adjustment. So I press down the last fret here, insert it, and you can see here that we have quite a gap. So if I take you guys in a little closer, should be able to see this. If I press it down again at the last fret and I insert the feeler gauge, you can see that we have quite a bit of distance there. So we would have to take our Phillips head screwdriver and insert it here, and then make sure to get our pickups adjusted up a little bit. Press down again, insert it. Still have a little bit of ways to go there. no problem. We'll just give it a little turn. Get right back with the feeler gauges, pressing down the last fret. Check that everything is good. Right now it's a little bit high. I'm pushing the string, so we take it down just a tiny bit in order to get it right. And I would basically say that we are right on the money. Maybe it could come up just a tiny bit. Right there, we are golden. So we go over and we do the same thing on the treble side, pressing down here at the last fret, inserting the feeler gauges, and you can see that again we have quite a bit of room before we get down to the feeler gauges. So we get in here again and we adjust up the pickups, making sure that they are sitting parallel and as we want them. Pressing down again, inserting the feeler gauges, and I went a little too high there, so we're going to take it down a notch and we can check it again. Maybe just a hair down. Just like that. And we should basically be good to go for the neck pickup. Yeah, we're good to go there. We have the amount of, clearance that we want. So we can basically go down here and move to adjusting the pickup height for the bridge pickup. And this will be done, the same way, pressing down on the last fret, inserting the feeler gauge, and again we have quite a bit of room. So we'll get a screwdriver and we will adjust that pickup up a little bit, giving it a couple of turns, making sure that we still have ways to go. And we check it here. Could still come up a tiny bit. And this is just the process of going back and forth, but you want to get it right. I would say that we're basically right there, but could try and give it just a little bit in order to get closer. And we are right there. You can see that the feeler gauge slides in without moving the string, so we're good. Moving on to the treble string, pressing down the last fret again. We want to go in here and check. As you can see, we are basically miles off touching that feeler gauge. So again, take the screwdriver. We will adjust the pickup up a little bit in order to try and get it close. Press down the last fret again, insert the feeler gauge, and it was adjusted a little too high. I'm going to take it down a little bit. We can check it again. I would basically say that we are where we need to be right now. So, yeah, we're good. Now we can go back and check that the treble side is good, and you can see right now it is actually too high right now. So you want to go back and you want to check the pickup height so that the adjustment is even on all sides. Still have to get it down a little bit. And this just takes a little bit of going back and forth, but you want to make sure that you get it right, because it can mean difference between you swapping your pickups out for something that you believe sound better when these pickups actually did a good job. So that's just something to think about, and that's good right there. We just want to go back and recheck the treble side, and it could come up a little bit given that small adjustment. So we'll do that and we'll see. Things are good. So we basically want to go back here and do the same thing for the neck pickup, just checking that everything is good. Press down the last fret, set the feeler gauge, and again this one has been adjusted a little too high given that we adjusted the other side before. So we take it down a little bit, press down the last fret, check it again. It seems like we are we're good to go. Maybe it could come up a tiny bit. We'll just go back and check it. Just giving it a little too much maybe, so we'll just take it back a little bit. Getting it in there, seeing that it's basically fine right now. Yeah, we're good there. Go back and check the treble side again to see that it could come up a little bit. And we can basically call the pickups adjusted. So that one's good right there. And I believe that. So yeah, things are good. So we have basically now adjusted our pickups to, the pole pieces has been matched to the radius of the fingerboard. And I think that could be, the whole thing about this is that you also have your saddles down here matching the radius on the fingerboard. And that will, be a tutorial for another video. But this was adjusting the pickups and matching the pole pieces to the, basic curve or radius of the fingerboard. So these pickups and the pole pieces are now adjusted, and we should now have some nice, or at least clearer sounding pickups, given that they have a nice adjustment in height here and the pole pieces are matched to the radius. So this will be it, guys. I hope this will be helpful for some of you people out there, and at least it's a nice trick to know when you set up guitars, because it can make quite a difference between some muddy and undefined sounding pickups, and basically take them and transform them into something that actually sounds decent. So give it a try and see what happens, guys. I will be back with another video very soon, and until then, stay tuned, have a good one, subscribe if you like it, and I'll see you soon, guys.